welcome, welcome. We are just a few hours from the hostage release. If it happens, if it goes through, because anything can happen in a matter of hours. And where I am right now, I'm in the south, and near the Gaza border. Actually, it's just over this way is Gaza. This is the first time I've been here in a long time, in 2 years, that one thing I don't hear are the explosions from that side of the border. And usually, like in the last couple times I've been here, you hear like constant drones, you hear explosions, you hear, tank fire, you hear God knows what. But this time, it's actually quiet. So it means the ceasefire so far is holding. But tomorrow is going to be the release of, is supposed to be the release of about 20 hostages, 20 living hostages. And we just got a word right now. Hamas said they're going to release them from three different locations. So they're split up. And so they'll be released from, I don't know what the locations are, but they're working it out with the Red Cross right now. So, so that's going to be around 6 in the morning tomorrow, our time, which if you're East Coast and you're still awake at 11, tune in. Oh my God, that means I have to wake up early, but I'm probably not even going to be able to sleep. I couldn't even sleep last night because you just feel like something is happening. Like there's this sense of excitement. So let me explain. I'm sorry if you guys want to leave comments, I'd be really happy. And if I miss them, it's because I'm on my phone and I can barely even see the little buttons on this tiny screen. Anyway, I want to explain to you where I am right now, what I'm doing here, what's happening. But I am on Kibbutz Nirim. Nirim is somewhere like it's just over there, probably like a quarter mile is the Gaza Strip. This is a kibbutz, I think, with about 400 residents. And it was one of the kibbutzim that came under attack on October 7th. In the end, it was maybe one of the least hit of the ones that were attacked. However, 5 people were killed on that day and 5 people were kidnapped, and only 3 of them returned. 2 were killed in captivity. They were kidnapped alive and they were killed there. And I don't remember the circumstances, if it was by whether it was an Israeli bombing or whether they were executed by Hamas. Actually, anyway, I'm not going to go there because I don't know for sure. But anyway, I spoke with one of the members here. He said that he was out for a bike ride. He does these crazy, like 50 to 60 kilometer bike rides every Saturday. And he was actually coming back already at 6:30 in the morning. And he didn't even make it to his house. He made it to right here. It's called in Hebrew migunit. It's like that means a small shelter, and it's I'm not going to make it too far in here, but it's reinforced concrete, and this is where you come if there's a siren. You only have up to 10 seconds to get to shelter if you're here. So he was getting back to the kibbutz from his bike ride, and he went straight for one of these. And let's see how far I can get before there's no light. It's kind of scary coming in these right now, but it just goes about 10 feet that way. It's like a very reinforced bus stop or something like that. So this is what is supposed to protect people. But of course, on October 7th, there were people who especially from the Nova Festival, the music festival, which is just north of here, just a couple of minutes. And when the ones who managed to flee the field itself ran for shelters like this that are set up, these are like bus stops. They're like all over, they line the highway. And many of them ran there and hid in there. Like imagine you like probably like in some cases like dozens squished into here. And then Hamas came, attacked them through grenades, used machine guns, and just sprayed the place. The singer who won the Eurovision Song Contest, the Israeli representative, she was one of the survivors from one of these, and she said that she remembers. She tells the story where she remembers there was a pile of bodies or a pile of people on top of her, and she was like, wow, why does the pile feel smaller? And she realized it was because from the grenades the bodies just like disintegrated, or just were flattened and into so many pieces that suddenly there was less volume in this shelter here. So anyway, the man who I was talking to hid here for hours while his wife was home alone and hid in her safe room. There's also another story here of a woman who was home with her three children, and they're like ages like at the time I think like 15, and you down to 9, from 9 to 15 years old, the three of them. And the terrorists broke into their house and were throwing grenades and trying to break their door down to their safe room, and they somehow managed to survive, which was actually really a miracle, considering it was just them hiding in a safe room. Safe rooms are meant to protect from rockets, and they're also reinforced like this little bomb shelter here, but they're not meant to keep out intruders necessarily. So it was a miracle that she managed to keep them out. Now, I don't know if I'm going to make it the whole way here, but a few of the stories here, and like I said, this is not Be'eri, this is not Kfar Aza. They don't have these same stories. Only five people were kidnapped and only five people were killed. But they, there was a battle here. The commander, I think, I don't know if it was IDF or just a regional security commander of this southern region, saw very early that there was an infiltration at Kibbutz Nerium. And so he came here, and he was like a first responder. He took two of his soldiers with him, and they ended up having a battle. I believe it's at the end of the kibbutz right here. And all three of them were killed. And because he was such a high ranking commander, Hamas was like, we got to get this guy's body over to Gaza. Like, this is like, I mean, you can really bargain if you've got somebody so high up. Hamami was his last name. And so they still have his body. And actually, he would be part of the release. Oh, I know these people. Oh, that's funny. Anyway, sorry, keep moving. Okay, so Hamami would have been part of the release. Will be part of the release, presumably in the coming days, of the deceased. I think they brought back the bodies of the other two that were killed. But you know what? Again, I would have to check that information. So it's just something I heard today. So another miracle that occurred here is that a rocket fired by Hamas hit the fence of the kibbutz. See, like, these are kind of like gated communities, more or less, you could call them. I mean, they're all these rural, pastoral, low, there's like these low buildings, houses, and a lot of grass, a lot of yards here. It's just, there's farms. Almost all the kibbutzim are connected to farms. But so these gates, and because they're close to the border with Gaza, they're very secure, clearly not impenetrable, but they are, they have different kinds of security, including a gate, a huge iron gate that opens only for the people who are allowed in by security. A rocket launched by Hamas that morning hit the gate, broke it, and so it couldn't open. And so that means that the Hamas terrorists, who were driving vehicles like these white pickup trucks, they couldn't get into the kibbutz. And so that means that it really dampened their ability to attack and really penetrate the area. So the first round of terrorists were very much preoccupied with getting Hamami's body back to their commanders in Gaza. And then the second and third rounds, and of which there were, just had trouble, logistically getting into the kibbutz, at least using the gate. So those were some miracles that prevented much more damage here. But I passed along the way Kfar Aza and Be'eri. And if you go further, you've got Holit, which you may not have heard of. But Holit was just, there were really bad massacres there. Aina Shlosha, not a lot of people killed, but some really gruesome stories that came out of there. But I think it's important for me to be here right now. What I am here because I'm covering this return to the kibbutz. This, it was pre-scheduled before Trump got involved and before anybody knew that there was going to be a hostage return or release. This event for this homecoming was pre-scheduled, and so they decided to go forward with it, even though in a couple hours, this entire area is probably going to be closed to regular civilian traffic. I mean, residents can probably get in, but I'm a little nervous. I can't get out. But anyway, we'll probably be able to get out. But they decided to go forward with this event. It's the community deciding, after being evacuated for nearly 2 years within their own country, having to live in hotels and in just other, communities around Israel. Like, they found different kibbutzim. By the way, kibbutzim is plural for kibbutz. It just sounds really weird to say kibbutzes, so I just keep saying kibbutzim. But they different kibbutzim decided differently what they were going to do. Like Re'im decided they were going to move as a community to Tel Aviv. They rented 2 towers and they had their whole community there. Nirim was evacuated to Beersheba, most of them. Oh my God, I have one more good story for you. Not good. I can't call this good. Anyway, they've been out of their houses for 2 years. And so now most of them, I think it's between 80 and 90% of the families have decided that they will come back. And I just spoke with like even a 17-year-old girl. No, she was 15-year-old girl. And she was like, fun to be back. I'm happy to be back. And I'm like, are you scared? Are you nervous? She's like, no, I'm okay. So I was like, all right. All right. So another story from Kibbutz Neriim, because this is close to my heart. I met this woman. She has not returned yet. She's here at the dinner, and her son is here with her at the dinner, but they haven't returned yet. They're still living in Tel Aviv. And she said, I don't know if I'm coming back. And I remember I met her a year ago, and her story is that her son is 39 years old. He has Down syndrome, and he lives alone here on the kibbutz. He lives in um, they have like a whole, usually on the kibbutzim, they have these setups for young people's housing. They call it the young neighborhood. And, teenagers, from 18 up, not teenagers, but young adults. By the way, this is what's happening here. The kids are getting a train ride. So, um, So this young man named Hadar, 39 years old, lived independently in a house by himself here on the kibbutz because he can, because his mother lives here on the kibbutz, and he can live independently. So he lived here and on his own, and he was on his own on October 7th when Hamas was crawling around this kibbutz. This guy with Down syndrome had no one. The mother could not get to him, and she said, don't come to me, stay in your house. And he had to do what they said, shut the window, shut the shutters, lock your door, lock yourself in the room. Now, listen, if you know me personally, if you've hooked up to this channel because you know me personally, you know that we have a child with Down syndrome. And if you don't know me personally, now you know. So when I hear stories like this, I am like, oh my God, what would Daniel do? And I don't know. And I don't think he could do it on his own. So this to me was another miracle, but they don't know if they're coming back. Now, by the way, there were also stories, and I think all the time, what about the Gazans with Down syndrome? What about a Gazan kid with autism? How do you hear drones? I just heard a drone now, not the train, there was a drone. How do you hear drones all the time? How do you hear bombings? How do you deal with this? God, there's my crew taking pictures of themselves. I got to get out of here. Oh my gosh. Anyway, it's so funny. Let them do that. I don't want to get caught in the middle of picture taking because I'm talking to you. All right. So, anyway, so I think of these kids with special needs and I'm like, how are they going to deal with this? Like, they can't deal with loud noises at an amusement park. How are they going to deal with loud noises that are destroying their house or that have killed, their family members? Here in Israel, there was a young girl, I think 12 years old, with autism. I think that was her special need was autism. It's from one of the kibbutzim near here. She didn't like to sleep at many different places or go anywhere. Like she was really like she liked her routine. But she did go to her grandmother's house. She was okay with that. And so on that night, which was a holiday, she slept at her grandmother's house. And both she and her grandmother were killed together. So that is just like, that's heartbreaking. um, my heart breaks for these people too, who are coming back to no homes, coming back to no schools, no education. They didn't have any for 2 years. And now the only thing they've got now is Hamas to now clean up their mess, to run the public works department over there in Gaza, when all they've done for 2 years is run through tunnels and, launch rockets and shoot at Israeli soldiers. And mind you, shoot at their own people, because right now there's a little bit of a civil war. I don't know the extent of it, but going on right now in Gaza, because there's the 2 or 3 militias that have been anti-Hamas, and they, and I don't know if they're always anti-Hamas, historically, or they just want control there. And also, it does not mean that they're pro-Israel. Maybe they've worked with Israel, but anyway, that's been going on. There's been like infighting going on, and now Hamas is back in control. Israel withdrew to the yellow line, and now Hamas is back in control. So for these people, they're they are the ones that they are relying on to run it. Avi, you're next. Bye, Avi. You're next on my, yes, I'm going to interview you next. Okay, bye. You guys aren't going to the event? What? You're not going to the event? No, I'm just getting headphones. All right, cool. See you. Bye. I'm going to interview him. He's so interesting. Rabbis for Human Rights. He just told me, he's like, yeah, come. He's like, now that this war is over, it's the olive harvest season. And he's like, come see what happens. What does happen is that the Palestinian olive harvesters get harassed by the Jewish settlers. And actually groups like his, Israelis, go and defend the Palestinians against the Israeli Jewish settlers. And he's like, yeah, come. So I was like, would love to. I mean, because we're going to be bored, right? All right, but let's not get bored. Let's be honest. I'm going to wrap this up. I have to go. Um, there's going to be an event. There's a 100-piece orchestra that is going to perform and all this stuff. But you can see the lawns right by the community center here. Again, if you missed the beginning, Kibbutz Nirim, Nirim. Mind you, I never heard of 90% of these places before October 7th. And now I feel like I've driven down here like a dozen times at least since then, having never come down here, never passed Sderot before. If you look at the map, you'll see what I'm talking about. All right, so why? Just because the hostages are going to be released does not mean that the war is over. This is simply phase one. There is phase two. Nobody knows a lot about phase two. Nobody knows when phase two gets enacted. So phase one is simply 48 Israeli hostages, 20 of whom have been confirmed to be alive, have been collected by Hamas and are ready to be transported through 3 different crossings from the Gaza Strip into Israel in the next less than 12 hours. That's phase one, including Israel releasing 1,700 Palestinian prisoners from, I think, the recent war, plus 250 serving life sentences for their for terrorism, for killing Israelis, like for their role in terrorism. And so 200, so almost 2,000 Palestinians will also be released. That is phase one. Oh, and the Israeli army withdrawing, which they already did, to the yellow line. After that, all bets are off until somebody hammers out phase two. Phase two, we don't know much about. So Hamas has to disarm. Hamas has to give up its arms. Hamas has said that they won't do that, or if they do, they will only give it to a Palestinian ruler that takes their place in Gaza. But this is where nobody really knows what happens next. So we are in for, after this, probably a couple days of quiet and then a lot more negotiation. There's different meetings going on. Tomorrow, Trump will arrive after the hostages. The hostages are supposed to arrive by 6 a.m. Trump will be arriving at 9 a.m. And he'll give a speech at the Knesset. And by 1 in the afternoon, he is then on a plane going to Egypt to continue to negotiate, like with other Arab leaders, about what is going on. Oh, somebody, Susan. Hi, Susan. That doesn't sound like a win for Israel. 48. Susan, I just read. I mean, I'm used to this from covering it, and I haven't gotten a satisfactory answer. I don't have an answer for you, but it is always like that. It is always like 1,000 for one. I mean, this is actually a good deal. This is actually one of the highest percentages. And that's because Trump is in here and Trump is forcing this on everybody. Trump literally, I mean, Trump is more popular in Israel than he is in the United States. I can guarantee you, Trump would be elected president, prime minister, Nobel Prize winner in Israel tomorrow. So, yeah. So somebody saying yes, one in the last deal for Gilad Shalit, for one living Israeli soldier that was held for 5 years, they gave up over 1,000 prisoners, including Yehia Sinwar, who masterminded all of October 7th. Now, I'm not saying that nobody else wouldn't have done it. Like, I'm sure somebody else would have done it. It's not like he was acting alone. He probably had like help from Iran and other sponsors or whatever. He's not just brilliant on his own. But anyway, everybody. So there's a lot of conflicting feelings. I mean, obviously, if you're the parent of a hostage and you've been campaigning for 2 years to get your child back, then you're happy with this deal. You're like, yeah, let's go, bring them over. Like, they're not going to sleep tonight, I guarantee you. But if you are the parent or loved one or child of somebody who was killed in a terror attack, and now that person is being released from jail and sent back into Palestinian, I don't know if they're going to go to Gaza. I don't really know where they're going, actually, because they're not all from Gaza. Most of them are from the West Bank. So where do they go? And why does it matter to Hamas if they are in the West Bank? I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, Susan said I would release 10,000 for my one, and I think that has been the Israeli ethos. I mean, I'm not speaking for Israelis. I'm just speaking about the pattern. Is that yes, Israelis are known to release many, and then of course I'm sure the other side is saying, but were they arrested under by legitimate? I mean, of course, the ones with blood on their hands, that's a different story. But there are a lot of arrests that aren't necessary, that are debated, let's say, over here, and not, you can argue about whether or not they're justified. So, like, if you're just releasing a bunch of them, like, fine, like the poor Christian woman who was in detention, Palestinian Christian woman. I did a story on that last year. Was arrested, not charged, and just held for security reasons. And they didn't have to, like the police don't have to charge or give a reason. It's just for security concerns, and then it remains under a gag order. So anyway, she was for months in prison with no access to her family or anything. So anyway, All right, I digress. Phase one, where was I? Phase one. Phase one has begun. Started on noon on Friday, and tomorrow will be the climax. Should it happen Trump goes to see the hostages who get released, it's part of his plan. He's gonna. I don't know how. Man, in Israel, this is why you cannot get around Jerusalem to save your life. Traffic like crazy all the time. But Trump is going to be here for 4 hours, less than 4 hours. He's going to manage to get to Jerusalem to speak at the Knesset, and then he's going manage to somehow to get to one of the hospitals and to meet with some of the hostages being released. And I'm like, how do you do that? Like, it took me 2.5 hours to drive down here from Jerusalem. So it's amazing. It pays to be president of the United States because the whole country is getting shut down. The Highway 1, which is the main artery between Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, will be shut down from 6 in the morning tomorrow. I was thinking of going to Hostage Square to watch the releases with people, but I'd have to get up really early, take the train, and not drive there, obviously. But I don't know how or when I would get back. So I'm like, ah, never mind. Like, that's just like too much of an unknown. So that has to happen. All right. So anyway, Route One shut down. All around the Knesset's going to be shut down. Many places around. The Knesset, and then the road, wherever whatever hospital he's going to get to, all of that will be shut down. So anyway, oh my gosh. All right. So let me see. Guys, I can't see. I saw some of your comments pop up. Hi, Kim. I saw you. Darren says, what is going on? A lot. You're going to have to rewind it after. There's too much going on. What's going on here? Maybe you're asking what's going on here. I'm on Kibbutz Nirim, and they're having their homecoming. This is their welcome back ceremony. And I can tell by the influx of people in white shirts that the orchestra has arrived, because there's supposed to be 100-piece orchestra that's going to be playing right now for the ceremony. Yeah, that's totally the orchestra. The black and white, right? So otherwise, there's 400 members of the kibbutz that have been evacuated, most of them for 2 years, and now they're back. Like, in the last few months, most of them are back. Some came back a couple months after, even though this was a closed military zone, and you heard bombings and explosions all the time right over there. But now they're back, and this was their welcome home ceremony for themselves. And CBN Israel, Christian Broadcasting Network, CBN Israel is the humanitarian branch of the CBN News, Christian Broadcasting Network. And CBN sponsored this welcome back dinner and also built the dining room and paid for the renovations of the dining room and the supermarket here, the little convenience store. And that's actually crucial because now it will also be a shelter. So hundreds of people don't have to run to a shelter that's smaller, but they can stay there. So what was I going to say? Yeah, dining room. Kibbutzes, they eat at, like, really? Like, I couldn't believe that this is actually true. I'm such like a city person, not because I prefer it, but I went from New York to Jerusalem, so I'm a city person. I could not believe that people these days eat together in a dining room for every meal. I was like, really? They really do that? So they really do. It's like the center of kibbutz life. I need water. Oh my gosh. Paula asked if Joel Rosenberg is here. No, he is not here. I think he's in America at the moment, but he's not here. But there are representatives of CBN here. So anyway, it's really cool. But look, I mean, the event, they went all out. I'm here to get water so I don't cough in your face anymore. Sorry, guys. So, so anyway, I'm probably going to wrap this up because I'm going to go to this event now, see what's happening, and then there they are. Oh my gosh, Michal, that's the one. They're talking to Michal right now, who is the one who had to hide with her kids while grenades were being thrown in her house. I want to hear her story. I'll tell you more about it later. In any case, okay. Who was saying that they were in Jerusalem? I'm sorry, I can't see it. Oh, Sharon. Sharon Gerber. You were in Jerusalem for 9 days. Oh my gosh. Okay, come back. Come back. I think now, listen, at least a couple months of safety after this deal goes through, after phase one of the deal goes through. I think things are going to be quiet for a little while. They're going to go back to normal for a little while. By the way, speaking of normal, I told you yesterday about a survivor of October 7th who committed suicide, burned himself in his car. I found out when I read the whole story. Today, another woman took her life. And I think she was the mother of a victim, something anyway, or a mother of somebody who was killed. Yeah. So it's just, so the scars are still here 2 years later. It's trauma still cropping up. I can't, we can't predict or imagine how people are dealing with things like people coming back to this kibbutz who did go through things on October 7th. What really, where are they? Are they okay? And then, of course, there's Gaza, and nobody knows how that's gonna how their healing is gonna go, and if anybody's gonna worry about that. I mean, right now, you need to worry about giving them homes and food, and after that, somebody really needs to get in there and worry about the healing. So anyway, I'll leave you with that. If you are still awake at 11 p.m. Eastern time, join me. I will have coffee. You can have whatever you choose to drink at 11. And that means I'm going to get the pot ready tonight. Thank you for joining. Thank you for your comments. I can't read all of them because I'm on my phone. It's too small. And I will, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night or a good day wherever you